kids, my daughter and my son. They were 10 years apart. I lived there with my 3 granddaughters and my husband, Martin. Now, he was my childhood sweetheart, and a dairyman, go figure. And he was a singer, songwriter, a psychic medium, a hypnotherapist, a past life regressionist, meditation specialist, a ghost hunter. You're all-around paranormal overachiever. Now, I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, but then we moved to the west coast of Florida. And there was the white, sandy beaches and the palm trees. A lot of stars had homes there, like Stephen King. He lived in the area. Brian Johnson from AC/DC, I've hung out with him a couple of times. Jerry Springer, met his wife, age appropriate, kind of shocking. Pee Wee Herman had an adventure in Sarasota. Remember that one?
Yeah.
He got hair, and then it's like, I don't know where he got that move. Ron Jeremy has a house there. I heard it a little bit there. Somebody knows who he is. Okay, we just gave ourselves out. I'm going to move right along on that one. Oh, Hulk Hogan. Now, he lived a little bit further north of us in St. Pete. Now, the neighborhoods are usually kind of boring. The houses are boring, unless you were a star. But this one time, we got to stay in this big, old house in St. Pete for a couple of months. The character of this house was amazing. It was over 100 years old. And it had stairways that twists and turn in so many rooms. And the antique furniture, you could feel the energy of decades gone by. And the neighborhood was the same. It had all the old homes with lots of character, and the architecture was fascinating. And they had the old, big shade trees. And then there would be moss hanging from them. So old. And the moss was like creatures of wisdom, protection. And if you were quiet, they would whisper secrets. I'm in a magical kingdom. Over here, there's the fairy queen with the 3 little fairies dancing amongst the flowers, giggling, mischievous, with shiny wings. She keeps them in line with the fluttering of her wings, though. And over here, it's a huge castle. It's like nothing I've ever seen before. It has this large archway with double doors, with fairy lights, like real fairies. And inside, there's this courtyard with a white lion fountain with glowing water, mystical, for healing. The water flows freely and makes this music. Over here, unicorns. Those are unicorns prancing in the field with their brilliantly colored horns. And there's something big amongst them, brilliant white. It's a stag. He's walking towards me. He's coming closer, and we lock eyes. He's familiar. He knows me. It's like he wants to tell me something. And then the king and queen are on the balcony with a wizard. And the wizard's got potions and crystals and sacred symbols. But where's the prince? The queen's not happy. Something's up. You can feel it in the air. There are storm clouds on the horizon. But the wizard is sure and confident. But the storm is approaching. I don't want to leave this magical kingdom, the fragrant flowers, or the giggles of the little fairies, mischievous. But I have to go. I get to my destination and I open the door and I am hit with a burst of cold air. While it feels good in the Florida heat, It's so artificial. The air, the fluorescent lighting, the air is so cold and sterile. The chemicals, the floors are so shiny. It's crazy. And the beeps and the buzzers never seems to end. The doctors and the nurses chatting in the hallways, the cries of parents. Somebody, somewhere got bad news. Walking past the NICU with the blue lights, the little ones born too soon. And the machines, one for dialysis, one to regulate temperature. There's so many machines, there's hardly any room in the room. But our room, we had Glade plug-in, vanilla and sandalwood. So our room didn't smell like a hospital. And Martin would sing and play guitar in hopes of drowning out the beeps and the buzzers and the chant in the hallway. It never stops. Oh, those ugly hospital gowns. We tried to change those, but we weren't there long enough. And the doors, so many doors. It's like a maze. You walk past them, the little one's born too soon. Are they going to make it? I don't like hospitals. I hate them. But I lived in one every day and night for 4 months. Now, I'd give anything for another night in that hospital. That's where I learned about being in the moment. Because I knew there, the only moment I was guaranteed was the moment I was in. I wasn't guaranteed the next moment. Things could be fine 1 minute and critical the next. It's a roller coaster ride you don't want to be on. And then you wonder, are you ever going to get off this thing? But in situations like this, there's usually only one way to get off of it. It's not the way you want. So you take a deep breath and you try to be strong. You have to be strong for your child, even though you're crumbling on the inside. I'm so grateful for the nurses. They were the only ones that were in the trenches with us. And they listened. And yet, as hard as all that was, I wanted to be back there so bad. I didn't know what to do anymore. I finally made peace with hospital life. And it all changed in an instant. Which is why you have to be present in the moment and appreciate everyone that you have. Because you just are not guaranteed the next one. Man, I learned that the hard way. Andrew wasn't able to get out of bed for a month when he first got into the hospital. So when he was finally able to get up, I help him into the bathroom and sit on the floor while he does his business. Going through horrendous leukemia treatment, yeah, all your modesty goes right out the window. So as I sat there, I said to my son, "You know what, Muck?" His nickname. When we get out of here, all we're going to do is remember the good times. He goes, "I know, Mommy." He goes, "You know what else?" I go, "What, honey?" He goes, "I'm happy." I'm like in shock because he's on like no happy pills, nothing. And I looked at him and I said, "Really?" He goes, yeah. He says, you see all this? The IV pole he was hooked up to, the machines in the room, the hospital room. He says, you see all that? None of that decides my happiness. Only I do. And I'm happy. Now, I couldn't take this in. Because, it's summertime. His friends are out having summer fun. He's getting chemo shot into his spine twice a week. He can't eat, let alone swallow his own saliva. From I'm getting poked and prodded in test after test, and my son could still say he was happy. I said to him, Muck, you're my hero. He goes, Mommy, I couldn't do this without you and Daddy. So how can I not choose to be happy when my son could do it in the most horrendous of times? And you know what? I was right. When I think back in those hospital days, what I remember most are the beautiful, intimate moments with my son and my husband. The beauty in the pain. I thought the leukemia diagnosis was going to change who my son was, which was this happy-go-lucky, amazing teenager. He was a joyful teenager. How many of those did you see? Not a lot. And all it did, that diagnosis, it magnified who he was. Mind officially blown. Out of a very deep 4-day sleep. His mother and father, the king and queen, were there right by his side when he awoke. And when he awoke, he spoke of the travels that he went on in his very deep sleep. He traveled far and wide to different worlds, dimensions, and through time. As the king and queen bathed their beloved prince, one on either side of him, he shared with them that this was how the kings were bathed in ancient times. The prince says, Mother, Father, do you know where the ceiling used to be? Yes. I don't see it. What do you see, my prince? I see out into the cosmos. I see galaxies and stars. The ceiling does not exist to me. I know I'm an avatar. Now the king already knew this. The queen did not. She knew that her prince was different than most, but she did not know that he was indeed a master teacher, a bringer of light. There are 4 avatars. One is fire and is a glowy red with a dragon. And there's water that is a bluish green with a mermaid. And there's air with a bluish white and flowy wings. And there's earth, brownish, black, strong and powerful. Most call her Gaia. They're telling me that while they're powerful in their own right, together they create the universe. What do you see, my love? avatar coming in. This one is a shimmery silver on a white stag, surrounded by a rainbow aura. He's so beautiful. There are no words, just music. I understand this language. He's explaining to me how the mountains and the waters and the trees and the plants and the animals and the earth all breathe and pulsate as one, in balance and in harmony, and create a melodic music that we need to be respectful of. And if we choose to feel it and hear it, can you hear it? If we choose, we can help keep the balance and help them sing their song and harmonize with it instead of trying to control and destroy it. Then something amazing happened. The king and queen could now see through the ceiling out into the cosmos. Mother, Father, can you hear it now? Yes. Yes, we can, my son. And you're right. It is the most magnificent sound we've ever heard. All of the avatars were now singing with the earth and the universe in harmony. The king and queen knew in that moment that their son was no mere boy, but an avatar connected to the universal mind and source energy. Their cells vibrated with the information that their beloved prince had shared with them. Even though they knew their human mind would never retain all this information, they knew it was in their cells and would come forward at the right time when the kingdom and beyond was ready to hear it. The prince spoke of ancient philosophers, dates and times. They knew, the king and queen. He didn't learn that in school. I saw so much. It never ends. It's like a big game. Life is a game I never want to stop playing. Mother, Father, do you know what this means? No, son, you tell us. What's real? What we believe is real is what's real. Nothing is as solid as we think. And with tears in her eyes, she looked at her king and said, "We are in the presence of greatness." Nothing about Andrew was ordinary. Not even his passing. We were in the big old house, in our room, and the phone rang. That can't be good. We got a call to go back to the hospital. And I thought, what am I going to do? How am I going to handle this if it's not good? And I kept telling myself, he's been through worse. You always panic. You're not going to panic this time.
The queen and king can feel the charge in the air increasing. They know the storm is near.
When I get to the hospital, I go into shock. It's a scene you never want to see. It was like a scene from ER. I can't watch those shows anymore. The doctors and nurses and compressing and shocking. I couldn't take it all in.
Lightning and thunder and the distance coming closer.
I said to Martin, I asked him, I said, "Are we losing him?" And he said, "Yes." I fell against him. Everything was spinning so fast around us, and we were caught in this moment in time.
Dark clouds rolling in. A tornado is forming. Fairies screaming and flying for cover.
And then the nurse says, "You have to call it." I ran outside instead because I thought, if I keep calling people, someone is going to wake me up.
Dirt stirred up, creating a fog, wind, rain, leaves swirling all around as a tornado approaches. Total chaos.
I called my daughter first. I'll never forget her screams. She fell off the chair and went under her table. I called my friend in California. She'll wake me up. Nope. Screaming and crying. I called my mother. At least she didn't scream. She says, "I'm on my way."
Everyone in the kingdom is affected by the approaching storm.
Oh, there. The nurse comes out. "You have to go in or they will work on him until 4 a.m. That works for me.
The king and queen grab onto one another tightly, caught in a moment in time amongst all the chaos.
I looked at Martin, and I could tell by the look on his face. We had to go in. So I took a deep breath, went back into the hospital room. The nurse was still on the bed compressing my son. I took Andrew's hand and I put it to my face.
The king and queen see the white stag. They knew it was time.
"Stop! Just stop!"
Everything goes dark as the storm hits.
And I watched my son flatline.
Suddenly, everything goes quiet.
And then I said to my son, "I know you have to go, my love. I love you. I miss you."
In the quiet and the stillness, the stag stood ready to take the prince to the higher realms, to continue on with his sole purpose.
After all the equipment, machines were out of the room, we went back in, and they asked, "Do you want to bathe him?" I said, "Yeah. That'd be nice." "Wow, he's really clean." But it was the ceremony of it all. I cleaned his teeth, too. And Martin says, "Look at him." I was sitting there in shock. And I look over. I said, "Is he smiling?" Martin says, "Yes." "Does he think this is funny?" Apparently. So I said, "Well, start breathing, then I'll be impressed." And I looked. I really thought he was going to start breathing again. I really did. And then Martin hears Andrew say, "Daddy, I want to see you and Mommy dance. I've never seen you dance before." So we danced beside our son.
Well, I didn't know
Stages of grief. Bargaining. The morning I got back to the big house of the night my son passed, I literally got on my knees at the foot of my bed and I begged for my son's life. I appealed to the powers that be that please don't take my son from me. I'll do whatever you want. Just let me keep him. Yeah, that fell on deaf ears. Ah, shock. I miss shock. It's my favorite tool for grief. It helps you cope with the shitstorm that is now your life without your child. It can last up to a year, or longer if you're lucky. Denial. It's a beautiful thing. I could be there for others, for their loss of their best friend, their cousin, her brother, their nephew, their grandchild, because I'd rather deal with their loss than with my own, my son. Anxiety and panic attacks. Yep, had one of those too. I had a panic attack when I got my son's obituary in my email to approve. I came out of the office, I could barely breathe, let alone talk. And all I kept saying, I can't. This is my son, I can't say that word. Then Martin hears Andrew. Daddy, what's the first three letters? F-U-N. So from then on, it became his funeral service, and we were dealing with the funeral home. We literally put the fun in funeral. So much so that after his service, one of his dear friends said, is it okay to say I had a really good time at Andrew's service? I'm like, yes it is. Turning that devastation into celebration. Despair. Oh yeah, I had one of those moments. I call it my Britney moment. It's about 7 months after my son passed. Almost shaved my head. Almost got all my hair off. And I was, thankfully I think ahead going, yeah, I'm not going to rock that. So, not going to do it. So I called up my friend who's a hairdresser and I said, I'm having a Britney moment, I'm going to shave my head. Can we put purple in it instead? When can I come in? And she said, you touch your hair, I break your fingers. And if there's any hairdressers, it's like, this is not your hair, it's their hair because they knew it, right? Women are feeling me. So I called it my grief streak. That was the purple strip I had in my hair when I had red hair. That was my despair moment. Oh, well, we can't forget depression. Depression, the heaviness of depression. It's no joke. You literally feel like you're being crushed. You feel like there's an elephant sitting on you. Also with depression comes those intense feelings of not wanting to be here. Martin and I talked about suicide. We were planning a double suicide. Good thing we didn't have a garage. And even nowadays, I still have the suicide thoughts from time to time. For me, acupuncture and herbs helped lift that heaviness and helped me move through it, as did writing it out, painting it out, jogging it out, yelling it out, getting it out any way you have to. And then there's acceptance. And I'm like, this lifetime? Acceptance that you lose your kid, right? You think God said we're going to accept that this lifetime? But in honesty, what has helped me is accepting the fact I agreed to this experience with my husband and my son. That's my philosophy. That it helps me stay focused on the bigger picture. Like, what is this all about? Why did I choose to come here and experience this? And I realized the longer I stayed in grief, I was building a wall between me and my son. So I feel it and move through it because I want to take those heavy bricks of grief and I want to build a bridge to my son instead of a wall. Ooh, I forgot anger. Best for last. A ranting I did go on the way home from the hospital. And apparently I was really funny. And I told my friend, I'm like, I'll go throat punch you. Oh, I'm sorry, you're being funny. I'm like, keep driving. child fight so hard for their life, and you watch as a scumbag disease ravages and steals your child. Yeah, I was fucking angry. Might still have a little bit of anger to work through. These are my stages of grief. They say 5. Oh, I've got, 7 or 8 right here. Those are my stages. So then we have, yes.
It's all good, even when things don't work out like they should. It's all good, when things work, create a better world. When you feel you're being robbed of your successes, and the people that you trusted turn on you, know you are growing, and new wind is blowing, leave your life and learn your point of view. It's all good, even when things don't work out like they should.
Like they should. We even like ad-lib to that song too. It was coming up on Andrew's first angelversary. I was having anxiety about it because I thought, it can't be a year since I've seen my son, heard him breathe, felt his hand against my face, hearing him call me pretty mama. I thought, I have to figure out a way to get through this, a way to turn this devastation into celebration. But how? How do you celebrate the day you had to say goodbye to your teacher, your hero, your son? By creating a new memory of this day. By honoring and celebrating my beautiful boy's life. By giving him a welcome home party. By using his favorite saying and declaring it International It's All Good Day. That's how. Now we had the opportunity to go to Laguna Beach. We had done a lot of work out there, and we knew a lot of people. Now, Andrew's girlfriend lived in Southern California, and so did one of his friends that he had met in Florida. And we had a cake, a welcome home sign, that's the very one. And what else do we have? That's it? No, and a party. Now, I had Andrew's girlfriend, Jordan, write on shells that were from our area, Siesta Key, "It's all good," on these shells. And then we all went to Laguna Beach and wrote messages to Andrew. Here's the amazing thing. My daughter captured intimate moments between me and Jordan. I had my arm around Jordan as we were on the beach, and we were crying. And I told her, I said, next year, it won't be about all the devastation and trauma. You're going to remember this day, the day that we spent together, sharing our love for Andrew on Laguna Beach as the sun was setting. And then another moment with Daniel, his young friend, who was only 11 when he passed. He was writing his letter, and my daughter caught this picture of his mother holding him as he cried. And another moment, Martin and I hugging each other and crying on the beach. She captured the beauty in the pain, because what outshined it all was our love for Andrew. And Martin sang 2 of the songs that Andrew had given him after he passed. Only Love Is Real, and It's All Good. Then I asked everybody to take that shell that they held close to their heart and to leave it on the beach, so somebody would find it that needed to know it was all good. And it touched my heart because they thoughtfully really put a lot of thought where they were going to leave it, where it would be hidden, but yet it could be found by the right person that truly needed to know it was all good. Then we went back to my friend's condo to continue the party and the celebration of Andrew. We shared our favorite memories of him. Instead of a day of sorrow and rehashing the devastation, it was a day of love and celebration. And we have continued that tradition every year, ever since. Oh my God, Chrissy, do you not remember what happened at Andrew's service with the bagpipes? You can probably relate to this. When you have a community that's really invested in your situation, your story, when you lose a child, people feel helpless and they want to give. And we appreciate that. Well, this one woman, she wanted to play the bagpipes at Andrew's service. We hate bagpipes. But how do you say no? You can't. And it was such a lovely gesture. She says, I'll play out in the back. It'll be the lone piper. I'm like, that sounds good. I'm on board. So Martin and I are in there, and we're listening to Andrew's favorite music that we put together. And him and I are having this moment because Blackbird, Andrew always played on the guitar. So Martin and I have our head down, and we're listening to the words because they are so poignant and powerful. We're like, holy shit, this is making sense. And we're there, we're listening and getting into the music of Blackbird. It was. Martin and I were laughing so hard, my mother thought we were hysterically crying. I think she's a little disappointed that we were laughing so hard. It was right outside our window under the aluminum car park. It was not the lone piper we were promised. And Andrew's birthday, oh my gosh. Denise, do you remember? Trying to get the tree? Because we're going to plant a tree. Andrew cared about the environment. Hurricanes wiped out a lot of trees. And so, remember Denise, you called me? I found the tree. Where? Walmart. Walmart, duh. That was Andrew's favorite store, was Super Walmart, because during the zombie apocalypse, that's where you want to be. You've got your camping gear, your ammo, your food, your water, clothes. You got the big window and you can see the zombies coming. He was a little obsessed about that. So I go to Walmart and I stand in front of the tree talking. I'm thinking they see weirder things at Walmart than that. Yeah. You know. So I asked Andrew, why this tree? He goes, Mommy, what color are the leaves? I said, oh, they're camel green, like the shorts he always wore. I said, I love it. He goes, yeah, but what shape are the leaves? I'm like, they were heart-shaped. I thought, this is perfect. I buy the tree, I take it home, I call Wesley, come on over and see the tree. He was another young friend, he's like 13. As soon as he comes over, he's like, oh, it's camel green, like Andrew's shorts, and has heart-shaped leaves. And I'm like, you're so smart. And then he says, what's the name? It's a Mayho. And he laughs. And laughs. I'm like, dude, why? What's up? He goes, well, May is Andrew's birthday. And ho. It was a gift that kept on giving. So then I gave each one of Andrew's friends a little jar with some of Andrew's ashes to put in the ground. And Andrew's one friend, Corey, says, oh, we could do a line of Andrew. His mother's mortified. I'm like, leave him alone. Funny shit. And then Martin says, really, Corey? Do you want Andrew in your head being all positive and liking people? He goes, no, forget it. And then I had everybody, as we played Andrew's favorite music, I had everybody write on a heart a message to Andrew. So I took them off that night so I could laminate them. And I'm going through and I find CJ's. And that's Corey's brother. And it says, why can't you be more like Jesus and come back, you little bastard? Oh my God, it's devastating that for his birthday. We had a kick-ass party. Now oh my God, Colleen, do you remember offering to do crystals for us with Andrew's ashes? And you made the mistake of telling in front of family, and so instead of 2, you had to make 12. And as we're discussing all this, as the people came in for Andrew's service, we're sitting in the patio by my pool, had a pool, and we're talking about what we're going to do with Andrew's ashes. Crystals, we were going to leave some here in Ireland and other places, and as we're talking, I hear my son go, I knew I should have ate more. I'm like, dude, you didn't just say that to me. He goes, what, Mommy? Too soon? I look at my thick watch. I'm like, yeah, it's been 3 days. It's a little soon. So when I started telling everybody that was at our house, I said, the conversation I just had, we all started laughing. And it shifted us from devastation into celebration. Through all of this, there was laughter. And turning that devastation into celebration. This guitar now. Oh, it's color too. I can't believe you knocked it over. Don't judge me. I haven't played since high school. Even though the prince moved on to his higher purpose, he would communicate with the king often. They continued to stay very close. It was still hard for the queen, with her prince moving on, but the king helped her because she wasn't able to communicate with him as much as he did. As a surprise, the prince tells the king, I want to give Mother a song. So get some pen and paper and get ready to meditate. The king gets ready because he knows his son is about to take him somewhere really magical, as he often did. As the prince is talking, the king finds himself in the cliffs of Ireland. The king is standing on the edge of this majestic white cliffs on a full moon night, the stars twinkling ever so brightly. It was so stunningly beautiful that it didn't even look real. The sea's an icy deep blue. The moonlight danced upon it. The rich green grass on the top of the cliff sparkled like emeralds. White cliffs were illuminated by the moon. Waves going up against the cliffs, a gentle wind blowing were all music to the king's ears. He felt like he was in heaven. He felt like he was one with the universe. Father, what are the waves doing? They're crashing against the cliffs, my son. No, Father. They're dreaming. This is the dreaming sea. Now get your pen and paper ready and write this song for Mother as a thank you for letting me move on to my higher purpose.
see a bright and shiny star. Know that I can see you, and I'm never very far. Let your thoughts and your imagination help connect you now to me. For that is where I come to you, just across the dreaming sea. You can feel my breath in the morning as you rise to meet today, and I watch you try to make the start.
One day, the queen noticed that the king's voice was changing. There's something different about it. Not bad, just different. The frequency of his voice was going higher. The queen knew what this meant. She knew what she had to do. She needed to call the fairy queen Alacia and the 3 little fairies for this special assignment. Caliana Storm, Mazarine Star, and finally Drayden Sky, the youngest of the 3. The king would always sing to these fairies. He sang to the eldest one the most. They would sing songs the prince had given the king after he moved on to his higher purpose. Caliana and the king had a very close bond. Now it was time for Caliana to sing the king into a deep sleep. Yes, the king's physical presence would fade away as Caliana sang to him, and he moves on to his next journey, but he can return and visit. So as Caliana sang, colorful shapes vibrated to the notes she was singing that came from her shimmering, fluttering wings. They floated around the room and they would pop and created this rainbow aura. The queen, fairy queen, and the little fairies, Mazarine and Drayden, and the prince held the space for the king as Caliana sang. The tones were so melodic. It raised the vibration of the room and created the space for the prince to shapeshift into the stunning white stag. As Caliana was finishing the song, the king climbed onto the stag's back, and the prince took the king, his father, to the She, an Irish mound on the higher realms to carry on his soul's purpose, along with the prince. There is a huge welcoming home party for the king when he arrives. He walks into the courtyard and drinks from the White Lion fountain. All of his memories return from all the travels he had done from many lifetimes and many places. The king is then transported into a large arena. Thousands of people cheering, whistling, loud thundering, clapping. He remembers more of who he really is. Since the king made his journey, he visits the fairies. Mazarine sees him the most when he visits because she doesn't question it and isn't as sad as everyone else about the king moving on. She knows she can see him anytime she wants, just in the new way. The queen still communicates with her prince and king, but she still misses the old way. Mazarine helps her to better communicate. The queen and Mazarine have a special bond, just like the king and Caliana. They communicate telepathically, no matter how far apart they are. One journey was ending, but a new one was beginning for the queen, the king, and the fairies, for they know how to stay connected and communicate in the new way. Yes, the queen misses the old way, but she knows she has more work to do. where she is. And one day, she'll get to be with her king and prince on the higher realms. She knows she carries the king and prince's light within her, and shining brightly as she lives a life inspired by her king and prince. So, the prince moved on to his higher purpose, and the king joined him. Where does that leave the queen? Sitting before you tonight, making her story, and ready to build my queendom.